or do you just want me to stop talking?
No, feels make my hands busy.
So I have that same thing where I like want to feel like my hands are busy at all times. So like while we record, I have this like little pair of scissors that I just flip around in my hand.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm at work, like I flip a pen around and like click it and do stuff with it. And I was talking about it at trivia on Wednesday. And I was like, yeah, so I just feel weird when I don't have stuff in my hands. And I was like playing with like a fork or something. And one of the other guys was like, can you do this? And he started flipping like the pen around, like flipping it through his fingers. I was like, yeah. And I like showed him and I like started flipping it around in my fingers. And then he was like, then can you do this? And he picked up a mustard bottle and started flipping that around in his fingers. And I'm like, shit, yeah, I can do that. And this is 2 beers in. And I'm like, of course I could do that. And I like pick up the mustard bottle. I start flipping it around in my fingers and drop it right on my beer. And it spills all over the fucking table. And I'm like, and it was fucking full.
Oh, that's the worst.
And it got over my friend's pants, and I just had to sit there for the rest of the night, like with no drink, feeling like a complete asshole. And it was at a brewery, so like the beer cost $6, and I fucking tipped it over. Like, ugh.
That sucks.
I know, like I almost felt like more of an asshole for just like burning $6 because like.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it was like a Labatt or a Bud Light, that would have made a big deal. It was like
the guy's like, "Can you do this?" And you're like, "No, but I can do this." And you just throw your wallet out the window.
No, but I can do this. I light fucking 6 $1 bills on fire.
I'll buy you a beer, Eric.
Want to ring the bell?
I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm a loner, Daddy. Rebel. I am the walrus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to John Hates Movies, the movie review podcast where my friends prevent me from accidentally robbing a bank and instead force me to watch movies. This week, we have with us Eric Largent.
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
Oh, jeez. We have Chris Arsenault.
That's Miles, you dumbass, not bats.
And we have Colin McMillan.
Hey, prehistoric forest.
And I'm your host, Jonathan Barrup, and this week we watched well, it's not really an action comedy, but we watched a comedy.
It's a buddy comedy.
It is a buddy comedy.
That's the word I was looking for. Not action, buddy.
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep. A.K.A.
Dumb and Dumber.
Tommy Boy.
Oh.
Wait, what?
What?
They're different movies?
First of all, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
That's right. Tommy Boy.
Golf or hockey or...
Party Animal Tommy is a few cans short of a six-pack, but when the family business starts tanking, it's up to Tommy to save the day. Who writes these?
I know.
I don't understand. It's like they've never seen this before. Starring Chris Farley, David Spade, and Bo Derek. Directed by Peter Siegel.
Forget Brian Dennehy.
Dude, I know.
Or fucking Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets Brian Dennehy.
I forgot Brian Dennehy, to be fair.
Yep.
I remember that time that Brian Dennehy played Joe Don Baker.
No.
And Joe Don Baker played the one dude in Standing Tall.
No.
What?
What?
It's not a good joke. It's something that went through my head, like, seriously, like a week ago for some reason. And this is before we chose this movie, and before, like, for some reason in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, Standing Tall. It was Brian Dennehy playing Joe Don Baker. But Joe Don Baker's the one who's in Standing Tall. Unless you're talking about the remake with The Rock.
James got that joke.
I know.
Oh.
James would have been there with me, but he's not here with me.
We
That's
are
right.
sans James this week.
That's okay. He obviously has better things to do than record our podcast this
I
week.
know what he's doing, and no, he doesn't.
That's all right. We'll miss you, brother.
Brother,
Stay strong.
stay strong.
We miss you, brother. Stay strong.
Listen up, brother. You gotta stay strong.
Oh, boy.
Don't remember any of them. Oh yeah.
That other wrestler.
So, Tommy Boy.
Right. Tommy Boy.
Uh-huh.
So, as is John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie gets to review it first. So that means the ball is in Colin's court. Colin, what can you say about this movie?
Thanks, John. Well, first of all, I want to clarify. We are talking about Tommy Boy, not Thomas Mann, okay? Like, you want to make sure that you're getting this straight, because if you're talking about Thomas Mann, you're probably not going to have a good time.
Heyo.
Yeah, I know. That's a German novelist joke. Anyway.
Thanks for getting everyone to shut it off in the first 10 minutes, man.
No, I don't know. For some reason, that just crossed my mind when we were firing up the pot. I was like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if I said Thomas Mann instead of Tommy Boy? And then I did, and that was my story. That was my story about what you just heard.
I made a really terrible joke and no one laughed at it because it wasn't funny. I also want to note that no one laughed at that because it wasn't funny.
And now you know the rest of the story. So I chose Tommy.
You're on a roll. Keep it going.
James isn't here. We got to make up for the weirdness and unfocused quotient of,
Yes.
So, Tommy Boy. I haven't watched this movie in a really long time. It was introduced to me by part-time Potter, full-time good buddy Jamie Donaldson back in 95 or 96, shortly after it came out. And, this is one of those movies that he was like, you got to watch it. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't really like television. And I watched it, and it was, I was that kid.
That's just a
It was the
fad.
90s.
John's the only one present who knew me at that age, and I was a very frustrating lad. But even in the height of my hipsterness, before we had a word for it, I could not help but just be completely won over by this movie, and I laughed my ass off the first time I watched it. And I was very happy to say that when I watched it again this morning after years-long absence, I was still laughing my ass off. This movie is still very funny, and we miss Chris Farley a lot. He's just a very endearing guy. He's definitely one of those dudes that relies on physical comedy, so his delivery on lines is not always particularly compelling, but he's really funny. And David Spade and him are very funny together.
Yeah.
I'm a big David Spade fan, and this was the movie that made me love David Spade, and watching it again made me remember why. Because
there's a reason they work together. The two of them on their own don't work as well as when they're together.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
David Spade was, of course, on his show Just Shoot Me, where he basically got to be his character from Tommy Boy all the time, and without Chris Farley as his foil, there's a lot of charm that's missing from that, because he is probably the master of snark, but he's really got to be snarking at the right person, and everyone else on his show is a fairly normal person, whereas Tommy is a big dumb dummy in Tommy Boy. So Chris Farley's saying stuff that sounds stupid, and you're going, God, what an idiot. And then David Spade is like, what an idiot. And you're like, yeah. and he's clever, and the lines are good, and so you like him even though he's being a total asshole the whole time. And the other thing is in the end, he really does come around in a very genuine way, which gives him the character development he needs, that you realize that, Richard really isn't actually a huge asshole. He just kind of acts like an asshole. And really he's just a lonely guy that feels like he's gotten short shrift for a lot of his life.
But in the absence of the doofus, he's just a snark machine with no target. and like,
Right.
not the proper reason to be as snarky as he is.
And then he's kind of snarking at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if you don't, and the way his snark is set up in Tommy Boy really works, because the reason he's so snarky at Tommy Boy, although you get the idea he was a little shit when he was a kid, it's like, he's snarking at Tommy because Tommy has come in out of nowhere as the, like, prodigal son and basically taken his position in the company.
Yeah.
You know, you get the idea that David Spade has worked to be where he is very hard. Tommy skated by on the family name, got out of college with a D+, and now he's going to run the place. And David Spade, Richard's a little chapped about that. So it's easy to get behind Richard's snark in this movie. And also, it's just like, they're good lines. It's funny. He's not just being an asshole. He's being a funny asshole, and that counts. I'd completely forgotten that it was Brian Dennehy that played Tommy Sr.
Yeah, me too.
and watching it, I really enjoyed that. I was like, wow, he was like the perfect pick for Tom Callahan Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Brian Dennehy does a good job, and he's actually kind of acting. Like, it's a decent role.
Well, like, this is kind of out of his, like, wheelhouse. Like, we haven't seen, like, you don't usually see Brian Dennehy, like, lighthearted and having fun.
Right. No. Right, like this guy that everyone likes because he's just this big, lovable, like, uncle figure to everyone in town. Everybody loves him. He's normally a lot less likable.
He's normally out to cut.
No, he's normally like
Right.
the police commissioner, where he's like, you better get your act together, Bukowski.
Trying to run
You're a loose
people out
cannon,
of town.
Give me your badge and your gun. You're suspended. That's my Brian Dennehy impression.
That's a pretty
not
good
bad.
one.
They picked him well for this because the way that he and Chris Farley interact, you like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know, it makes sense. And that's one thing that Tommy Boy has going for it, is like, even though it's just a bunch of goofy gags and a romp, whatever, the stuff that's going down in Tommy Boy also makes sense. It's not ridiculous. Like, besides being pretty genuinely funny, I think Tommy Boy's a pretty good movie. What's happening, like the story of Tommy Boy, is actually just a little bit maybe too on the nosy 20 years later, because it's about the death of the working class.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good vessel to deliver some comedy in 95. Today, it's like, I'm watching it going, wow, yeah, like, this town has been completely killed by the evacuation of manufacturing jobs.
Yeah.
And that's so real in the Midwest now. It was like a little like, wow.
And that's why Donald Trump is our president, because all those people voted for him.
Yeah.
That was a can of worms that we don't need to open.
No, that's okay though.
Yeah.
It's probably correct, because, we don't, not to go too deep into it, but like when this stuff started happening in the 90s, because this movie, like what's happening in this movie didn't come out of nowhere, but folks were still holding on to hope that someone like Tommy Boy was going to save their jobs.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen, and everyone's trying to figure out why. So, yeah, you vote for a guy that's saying, hey, don't you guys all feel like you got fucked over? And they go, yeah. It kind of does make sense. But more importantly, I think that Tommy Boy actually is to blame for a much worse trend.
Mm.
This movie is like patient zero for shitty SNL movies that have been coming out basically annually since then. Like, this movie was good and really funny and just had some kind of magic to it. So Lorne Michaels decided to start making movies.
And fucking the first couple Adam Sandler movies that were good.
Yes. Like, I really liked Happy Gilmore.
Yep, I did too. And then Billy Madison.
Billy Madison is before Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Happy Gilmore was definitely the better movie.
Billy Madison,
both of those were like, that's what we're talking about. Like, that's why we got the Chris Kattan.
Was this really the flagship of all of those?
No, really, it was Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe what I'm really trying to say is I think Tommy Boy might have been the last really good one.
I don't know. The Tim Meadows Ladies Man movie.
That was a terrible movie, but it was funny.
Well, and Billy Madison is not a great movie, but it's very funny.
What about the It's Pat movie?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man.
Wasn't that direct to
might
video?
have even...
No.
Probably. I don't know.
SNL has produced some of the worst movies of all time.
You are correct. And I think that it was in this time, whether it was Tommy Boy specifically, but around this time, 1995, they were just coming off like some of the hottest cast members they've ever had. Like some of the funniest fucking people we'd ever seen on TV.
Yep.
And people who had real chemistry together.
Yeah.
You know, and they tried really hard to do this with like Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell, but Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell together were never even close to the shadow of Farley and Spade together. Not even close.
Yep.
Right.
And they tried to push this for so long. Or like the Superstar movie, which was just garbage. I mean, they have come out with so many shit show terrible comedies. It's like
any movie that Jimmy Fallon's ever been in.
Yeah, MacGruber.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we have a character with a name on SNL. Start writing up a script for a movie for it because this is going to make us some serious bank. And the thing is, like, MacGruber might be one of the biggest sins in my opinion because that sketch idea, that was very funny. It was like a really good 30-second and under sketch idea. They had no business putting an hour and a half toward that.
Dude, I saw that movie in the fucking theater.
Unbelievable.
Jesus.
I've never seen that.
Why?
I mean, because my friend wanted to see it, so I went with him.
Oh, well, that's different.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
You were wingmanning somebody.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to, I don't know, get some satisfaction out of a weird movie. But like, I mean, I saw the previews for MacGruber and I was like, I really like that sketch, but there is no fucking way I'm going to watch that movie. No way. And I felt the same way about The Ladies' Man. You know, I don't know, man. And,
what about Night at the Roxbury?
John and I watched
that has a special place.
Yeah, Night at the Roxbury is like so ridiculous that
it's so stupid that you're going to laugh at it. 'Cause it's just don't watch it by yourself. Find somebody that you want to have a good laugh with, get a 6-pack of beer and watch the movie. Like, but it's not, but like the difference is Tommy Boy is actually a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck and the people in it aren't completely obnoxious. But Night at the Roxbury, they were very obnoxious and John and I got a lot of good laughs out of that in like 99 or 2000, but they had no business making that movie.
Well, it could be, so like we've quoted a lot of like movies that are based on characters from SNL, but like this and Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and Black Sheep, those aren't characters from SNL. Those are just actors from SNL.
The only time it worked was Wayne's World.
Yeah.
And honestly, Wayne's World I love Wayne's World, but are the movies really that good, or do you just like those characters?
To be fair, Adam Sandler's movies, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, were Adam Sandler vehicles.
Yeah,
they weren't actually. I mean,
just like this was a Chris Farley vehicle,
right? Yeah. Right.
I mean,
they weren't.
It is produced by Lorne Michaels, though.
Yeah.
No,
well,
this one is.
Yeah,
the other ones aren't. Adam Sandler ones aren't.
I wondered. Thank you for clarifying that because that was my suspicion.
I'm looking through Lorne Michaels' producing credit, so
that's a long list.
Yes, it is.
Mostly Saturday Night Live shit, but you also have to recognize that he helped produce Mean Girls. He
produced 30 Rock.
Hot Rod, which was a
funny, fucking good,
funny fucking movie, but also Baby Mama. With Tina Fey, that was not a good, and
Amy Poehler.
That was not a good movie.
Well, and it's crazy. So, like, Lorne Michaels knows a lot about producing comedies that are going to make money.
But I think at times he just is just like he must like sit back and be like, yeah, just do it. You have my approval, and doesn't actually invest his time into it because he's also responsible for some crap.
No doubt. And I think what Lorne Michaels does is he can recognize when he can recognize what's going to get butts and seats. So Baby Mama, when that came out, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were incredibly popular because they both had awesome shows on TV.
Yeah, they both had the two funniest shows on TV at the time.
Yeah, but once again, we have to look back and realize he let Superstar get out.
Yeah, but I'll bet you it still made money.
Well, let's find out. I'll link.
Why didn't they ever make the Spartan Cheerleaders movie?
Oh, Jesus.
With Will Ferrell, Jerry Terry. Imagine stretching that into a movie. Hilarious. But like they did it with MacGruber.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, would it really have been that? I would believe it. There probably was a working script.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody talked it over. Like they had a meeting about whether they should do the Spartan Cheerleaders movie.
Maybe Sherry
absolutely.
O'Terry in a
Okay,
moment of clarity
according
was just
to-
like, I'm not doing that.
Oh, Sherry O'Terry in a moment of clarity goes, I need to pay the fucking bills because nobody's calling Sherry O'Terry asking her
Right.
to work.
According,
Well, that's true. What happened to her?
according to IMDb, assuming it's accurate, the budget for Superstar was approximately $34 million. And the movie grossed 30.
It was a very expensive tree
Whoa,
makeout scene.
talk to
right?
me about how much higher that is than a lot of countries' GDP.
Right?
Jesus.
It was budget 34 and it only
Wow.
made 30.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Lorne Michaels lost money on Superstar. Well, I'm
Because the
glad.
budget was $34 million. If you would have kept it at like, say, $5 million, he would have made some
Right.
money. Why does that movie need that kind of a
It
budget?
doesn't.
I have no idea.
And I'm glad that we all kind of agree that, because in my opinion, Superstar is like the low point.
Oh my.
Yeah, no, like I didn't see the Ladies Man movie. I didn't see MacGruber, but like Superstar was just so fucking bad. And it was just one of those things where they had no business making it. And I know I'm not really talking about Tommy Boy much right now, but
yeah.
like
we
I kinda
derailed a
wanted
little bit.
but that's fine. I mean, because frankly, the short version of my review is, yes, Tommy Boy is still fucking great. 22 years later, we missed Chris Farley. We missed David Spade and Chris Farley working together because they were really great. And this is still a pretty solid feel-good comedy, and I really enjoyed watching it again. And I forgot a lot of stuff, and it made me laugh again. And there's even some decent legwork on filmmaking here. Like they show you that Tommy is a guy that makes friends wherever he goes. Everybody loves
Yep.
him. Everybody loves him.
Yep.
So yes, they establish this guy's strength is in his charisma, and they bring that back in the end. They hang it on the mantle when he visits the plant, and then they bring it back in the end. Also, I was thinking about a regularly recurring topic here on John Hates Movies. Tommy Boy has a better record for safety than any movie where people are firing guns for target practice, because they actually say, "Hey, put on your hard hats when you go in the plant." On the other hand, shame on you, Tommy Boy makers, because no one who works in the plant is wearing a hard hat. All the guys on the tour slap on hard hats. Nobody who works there is wearing a hard
That's
hat.
a good catch.
Yeah, that one flew right by me.
So, I mean, I don't have much more to say than that. Other SNL movies blow. I'm glad they kind of stopped that. Tommy Boy is still really good. And I would probably also definitely watch Billy Madison again anytime.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I'd like to take over from here.
Sure. Go right ahead, Chris.
First, I need.
Okay, go.
I have one more. No, you were right about you're right about your weight. I have one. You're right about your weight. I have one final thought. "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" is a really strange song to play at your wedding right after you say I do.
Yeah.
Yes, it
I
is.
noticed
That's-
that too.
That's a strange choice. Great song. Strange choice for a wedding. To be like, man and wife, I know you want to leave me. Like, what? All right, sorry.
Okay. So, back to the point. Shut up. I need to handle some things here. Colin mentioned before hipsters. And before we had the term hipsters,
Uh-huh.
I think we referred to those people as douches.
Or mods.
Douches. Anyway,
That would have been fair. I mean,
Tommy Boy, and totally not Black Sheep. The story of a lovable oaf who means well under the constant supervision of an uptight dork who wants to impress his boss and prove how important he is. The lovable oaf is constantly misinterpreted by people, making his altruism just come off as more oafish. His ever-present mission to perpetuate the good family name routinely usurped by a meddlesome woman out to ruin him to benefit only herself. Of course, as is true with all great stories, the lovable oaf wins the day when he shows the woman to be a conniving monster. Ousted by the truth, her main guy blurts out the truth to the entire situation, cements their incriminations. This is how Mike Connolly saves his brother's campaign for governor. So it turns out they made Tommy Boy. When they made Tommy Boy, they must have had such an enormous surplus of jokes that they half-assed the same basic premise and made Black Sheep.
That's true.
And while
Yeah.
Tommy Boy came out first and has a number of genuinely good jokes, we've already gone into this. It's a good movie. I'd say Black Sheep is better.
Really?
It feels less dated. Not say it's not dated. It feels 90s, but honestly, Tommy Boy felt like it was really holding on to the end of the 80s and early 90s, whereas honestly, I feel like Black Sheep wasn't as holding on to that. I guess that's the worst way to explain it as possible. I'm just saying, it's not that it isn't dated, it just feels less dated than Tommy Boy.
Mhm.
But it's equally, if not more, funny. Plus, you have those same two characters, the oaf and the snark, but in this one, the snark isn't an asshole the majority of the movie. You know, he is a snarky person, and it seems like terrible, horrible things keep driving down on him. Like, he hits Gary Busey, and says, "Oh shit, are you okay?" Gary Busey wants to rip his head off and piss on him or whatever. And up until that point, he was entirely nice. Then he offers him a nice gift of a middle finger and drives off. But I mean, Gary Busey, putting in the pants, kill Whitey, Black Sheep has it all.
Kill Whitey's okay.
No.
All right. So there are a million references to lines from David Spade and Chris Farley movies.
Oh, yes.
Like 999,000 of them were in this movie, and Kill Whitey was in Black Sheep.
Yep.
This movie has everything you remember about those movies.
That's what's funny, because one of my favorite lines is, him's afraid. Him's just a little guy. I forgot. I always hate that that's in Tommy Boy, because that is one of my favorite lines.
This movie had all the lines.
Yeah.
Black Sheep has a ton of lines.
Let's Kill
too.
Whitey. And then it has the
a
bunk
lot
bed collapsing, right?
Yeah. It does. The sum of my review for Tommy Boy.
That's a tight review.
Hey, I'll take it.
I'd buy
never saw
that for
Black Sheep.
$1.
Well,
I mean, I could go on and say they're both good movies. Personally, if I was going to recommend one, I would recommend Black Sheep over Tommy Boy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch Tommy Boy. I just like Black Sheep more.
yes.
All right, so I suppose it's my turn, eh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I like everybody else saw Black Sheep back in the 90s, or Jesus Christ. I didn't even mean to do that. I, like everybody else, saw Tommy Boy back in the 90s, and thought it was delightful. Holy shnikes is a great thing to say when swearing will get you in trouble.
Say holy shnikes.
Fat man in a little coat, literally
Fat man in a little coat.
Literally every single one of us, when we're trying on a jacket that's too small for us, has done that.
Absolutely.
Literally everybody that's listening to this podcast right now has done that.
Yep.
Like it's ubiquitous. Like everybody's done
And
it.
if you haven't, watch Tommy Boy, and you will.
Everybody, like seriously, everybody has gone. It doesn't hurt so much down here or up here, but just right here. Everybody's done it. Like, this movie's got all of the lines. Like, it's got all of them. And
This movie is as quotable as Spectral was not quotable.
This movie,
Okay.
so we've done some very quotable movies. This movie is the most quotable movie that we've ever done.
Really,
Absolutely.
It really is. Because, on the playground growing up, we all recited this movie to each other 1,000,000 times.
I'm just checking the specs on the rotary girder. Even throwaway lines will stick with you on this one.
Yeah.
Are you allergic to bees? Yeah, let's get out of here.
Anything you want to keep
that
cold.
Worked.
So, and listeners, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you all saw this movie when you were kids too. That's right around 13, 14, 15 is when you watch this movie. It's the right time to watch this movie.
And remember, kids, even those who didn't have a childhood, like Eric, watch this movie.
It's true.
It's
true.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I took time out from trying to
being an 8-year-old adult and
no, from trying to do all the sports at the same time.
Right.
even though I was always the littlest guy and knew that I was looked at my dad and saw a 5'5" guy that was scrawny. I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna end up a lot like him, but I think I can be Barry Sanders if I try hard enough.
I'm just a widow girl.
It is the best line.
Yeah. So yeah, even I watched this movie. So if somebody's going to tell me that they didn't watch this movie, you're lying because I saw it. So when we were doing our intros to this, I quoted of Mice and Men because I like that's kind of part of what the David Spade and Chris Farley relationship is based on. Like there's this big oaf and then there's this pal that has to like take care of him. And he's doing the scene, like he's doing a scene of Mice and Men in the diner where he's like, and I've got this little nice thing in my hand and it's so sweet and it's so good. And then I smash it. Like he's talking about the rabbits.
He's killing a puppy in the barn.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's the thing that works in this movie has worked because this is like a dynamic that's, you know, happened forever. Like there's the big guy that don't think so good. And then there's the little guy that like takes care of him and like keeps him on the path. Like, and then, so like there's that side of this story. And then there's the, like, we've got a band together to save our jobs or to save our town or to save the hamburger shop or to save the amusement park or whatever. Right. Like it just like there's nothing new in this movie. Like they're taking like
it just did it earlier than so many other movies did just because we couldn't make as many movies.
I don't know, man. There were Abbott and Costello. There used to be Abbott and Costello movies. Like
look how many movies were all about saving their fraternity. Nerds, I'm looking at you.
Okay, you know what's nuts though about that? The 90s stink that's on this movie and every other movie in the 90s is that there's this latent, like, you don't have to be smart. You don't have to engage in the corporate game. All you gotta do is really believe in yourself and everything will be fine. Yeah. Like, it's the same fucking thing as heavyweights.
Oh, yeah.
In a weird kind of way.
Yep.
You follow me?
Oh, yeah. And
why do you hate fat people, Colin?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just think the 90s set us up for failure. That's all I'm saying.
And David Spade is like the perfect embodiment of 90s angst. Like he totally is. Like that character just doesn't get written anymore. Like that is a character of the 90s by the 90s. That's like Fubu.
We don't believe that
Funu for the 90s by the 90s.
We also don't believe that you should be friends with someone who's a dick to you constantly anymore.
Yeah.
Like we don't put that in movies because that was a big thing in the 90s too. Like Clerks, Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, like every movie it's like you hang out with your friend because even though he's a huge dickhead all the time and has no redeeming values, but he's your friend, so it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like now people, at least hopefully this is the right thing to do, just don't be friends with them anymore. I don't know.
You guys are all a bunch of snowflakes.
That's
oh my god.
Can't handle a friend who's mean to you. What
Colin,
the hell?
Colin, this podcast was supposed to be a safe space. Or John, this podcast is supposed to be a safe space. I just don't.
Oh no.
Don't bring that up. No, but okay. So to get into my review of the movie, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it far more the first time I watched it because all of these lines were new, and then I could turn to my friends and like act out the jokes and stuff. Mm-hmm. But so I watched this movie alone in my house on a Saturday afternoon, and it's like, well, you know, like Chris Farley acting like a big dumb clown is always funny. Yep. Like his physical humor, like him falling on tables and like blasting through them, or like him running into a wall, or him getting worked up and like, you know, just doing crazy things and making weird noises. Like that's always going to be funny. But like, this movie has some diminishing returns. Like this isn't something that you need to go back and see. Like listeners, if you're listening to this and you haven't rewatched Tommy Boy, you probably don't need to. I like the movie, but you probably don't need to rewatch it because like you remember it well enough, and it's hilarious, but it's not going to get funnier, and like there's not more that you're going to learn about it upon second reviewing or second viewing, and like it doesn't take on a new meaning later on in life. It's just a clown. Like it's a clown show, and it's a really good clown show, but after you've seen it the first time, there's not a whole lot of reason to go back and do it again.
Right.
But that really holds true for most comedies. Like comedies don't have a
lot of
layers?
repeat viewing.
Yeah, well, like first
not
off, for a comedy to be good enough that everybody remembers it and remembers it fondly, the comedy won. But like you don't need to, like, it's just not something that needs to be re-looked at. Like your memory of it is correct, and it's the best it's going to be.
So what you're saying is, with all comedies, we should just remember them fondly as they were, and not try to prove that they were as bad as we thought they were.
No, not all comedies.
Okay.
Counterpoint.
Counterpoint.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, but not all comedies, because things like The Big Lebowski, you don't get a lot of the jokes until the 5th or 6th time you watch it.
That's true.
Yeah, but this isn't one of those movies.
But
Colin.
I would hesitate to call Big Lebowski a comedy as well.
Oh, it is.
Counterpoint, you may have forgotten that when you were like 17, you used to go around going, "Oh my God," and you're going to get good nostalgia back.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
That's true.
So, but I mean, I don't really disagree with you, but it brought back a lot of very fond memories. Although some of those memories were the times that my friends or I would recite that whole "Here comes the meat wagon," woo,
right?
You know,
yeah.
like.
So, yeah.
You probably forgot some of the quotables.
Oh, yeah.
But they're the same quotables that you enjoyed 20 years ago.
Yeah, like if you rewatch this, you'll be like, holy shit, all of these quotes are from this movie?
Yeah, I think that's right. You know what I really appreciate about this movie, though? Because it was... They took the opportunity to make a wank joke without making me see a dude's dick.
Hey, yeah.
I don't know why movies today think that's funny.
Yeah, fucking Wolf of Wall Street, they added a prosthetic dick in the middle of it.
Oh, man.
Jason Segel. Why does he want people to see his dick?
Yeah.
Or
that's right. Yeah,
some equivalent of presumably his dick.
Yeah.
I don't want to see dicks.
Other than
I'm okay with it.
possibly other than the dick thing, which I thought was funny. Forgetting Sarah Marshall was also a really funny movie.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the thing. Like, there's one.
I did not like that movie.
There's one
That's
thing.
because
to
you've
have,
never gone through a breakup,
there's
John.
One thing to have a dick shot that's part of a scene. It's totally something else to literally just have a close shot of a dick,
Right.
which is what they do.
How
and
is
that's
that
not
different than boobs?
funny.
And how's that? Yes, it is.
Well, no, it's not funny. And
And
my
it's
point is,
very
like,
different from boobs, and you know it.
What
No,
if
it's
it's a
not.
really
Yes, it is.
funny looking dick? Like, what if the dick itself looks funny?
Yes.
Like, yeah, look at his funny looking dick.
well, I mean, if that's the joke,
It's
That
different.
is
It's
a
different from boobs because people want to see boobs. Nobody wants to see dick.
I'm fine with seeing wieners in a raunchy
it's
comedy.
not gonna like kill you, but people aren't like seeking out the dick.
my point is, like, it usually doesn't, like, the movies that have done it recently, it was unnecessary.
It's always
Is my
unnecessary.
point.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. Comedies in the 80s and early 90s went for the hard R by just showing tits literally for no reason.
Oh, I'm
And they
not
did
saying it
all
wasn't
the
unnecessary then
time.
either. And my point there is that, like, I would say, please stop putting dicks in movies, and I will gladly accept you stop putting tits in movies.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine,
All right,
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're willing to
I'm
make
on the
that
same
trade-off.
level
That's
there.
equity.
All right.
You know,
That's equity.
All right.
That's good.
I'm on board.
because it also means you actually have to work for the comedy.
Yeah, but every once in a
And
while,
this generation of James writers,
Oh.
just go for the piss and
but
fart jokes.
sometimes it works out perfectly. Like I can't remember what it was, but the whole Kevin Bacon no pants thing with the Wang jokes, that was pretty hilarious. That made me laugh.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Yeah, you lost every single one of us, Johnny. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
says the guy that has no heart and has never gone through a breakup. Anyway,
Well, I'm glad Eric's done with his review, so that I can go ahead and start picking up.
the last thing I'll say is, so upon repeat viewings, this movie actually kind of feels like it drags a little bit in
does.
the last third of the movie. It just does. But that's the same sin that literally every single comedy we've ever watched has. That it gets slow in the third act when we really need to
resolve.
Yes, when it gets less funny and they need to resolve it, then the comedy like kind of starts to fray at the edges. And this one does a little bit, but it's not that bad. If you want, like, if you're in a group and you guys want to watch Tommy Boy and like laugh at the jokes, do it. If you're alone and are like, I remember Tommy Boy as being really good, should I watch it? No, because you remember it being really good. Just keep that. Watch it with friends. Don't watch it alone.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's just a good tip for everything. Watch with friends. Have friends.
But what if you don't have any friends?
I watched.
Then we have a great thing for you.
I watched The Lobster a week ago.
I got news for you.
Do not watch The Lobster with friends.
Okay,
because that movie is too weird to like try to like talk to somebody during, or like to worry about what somebody else is thinking about. You just need to experience that one on your own.
Okay.
But anyway, John, that's all I've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I really don't have much to say about Tommy Boy that hasn't already been said, but there was something that I was kind of mulling over, and after viewing this movie again. And Eric, this is actually kind of specifically in response to something.
At me?
No, something that you mentioned.
What?
You mentioned earlier about how this is an old story that kind of just gets repeated and repeated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would fly today in today's movies.
What the like save the
like
factory?
Save the factory, save the town. Because I don't think we, in our fiction, at least right now, that we can present the idea of saving anything.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think, but I think that the reason that we can't do that anymore is no one would believe it.
So another thing that Rob Lowe was in was all about that. Parks and Recreation was all about save our ... Like that was the show.
Right. Yeah,
like that was them
true.
Campaigning to make a thing like
Just
good.
Throwing
and
it
all
out
that.
there because I happen to have rewatched it recently. Accepted.
Oh yeah,
where they make up their own college and then try to save their own college that they made up. I'm just saying it's still being done.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I just didn't really mull that one over very well.
The reality is it's being done more often. You'll see it being done by the more independent stuff because it's such an easier story to write. Save our camp, save our blah blah blah.
The save our blank story only works when the thing that you're saving is sacred. And manufacturing jobs are not sacred anymore. They're done. They're lost. Yeah. College, when Accepted came out, was still sacred. And Parks and Rec, liberals in government still sacred.
That is true.
And when Parks and Rec came out,
Parks and Rec would fly contextual.
Right now. Seriously, Parks and Rec is a very Obama era show.
It most absolutely.
Like I'm rewatching it right now, and it's like, holy shit! All this optimism really doesn't ring true anymore.
Yeah,
right.
Like it's super
there is no
now.
Yep.
Yeah, there are no Leslie Nopes anymore.
That's true.
They were kicked out.
Yeah.
And that's part of
they drained the swamp.
That's part of the problem.
Oh my God.
I don't I tried to make a concerted effort not to talk about Trump on our podcast, and I can't even stop myself from doing that.
Yeah, well,
when you watch it, I mean, it's weird because like Tommy Boy is like the comedy of the '90s, but it's about the loss of the American dream, and it's sort of fucked up to think about that right now. Like, this is a weird time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, that's one of the things that I was mulling over when watching Tommy Boy is that whether or not this particular formula film is something that we're not going to be able to see again for a very long time.
You're not going to see a Save Our School movie anytime.
Right. Well, it's not just Save Our, but like the whole. I mean, yes, this is definitely has that very, very 90s feel to it. But this style of comedy, this Plane, Trains, and Automobiles comedy, this two unlikely friends becoming friends comedy, that's not really something that, I mean, now it could be just my particular exposure, but it's not something I think that we're going to see anymore.
So there was that Central Intelligence movie with The Rock and Kevin Hart. Like which I didn't see it either, but it looked really funny, and that was the premise.
It is a buddy movie.
But here's
definitely a buddy movie.
Okay, here's the thing about those. Okay, and I do like them, but so there's this thing in comedy that you'll see, and we saw it probably most famously on the Pee Wee Herman review that we did.
Yeah.
Where comedy is one of the genres that has the hardest time letting go. And you can even see it in Tommy Boy. In Tommy Boy, David Spade does this throwaway Ed Sullivan impression. He does it in 1995. And that was well after.
When does he?
Like Jay Leno had taken over by then.
When does he?
He does it in the car when he's drinking. I did not know that. Oh no, sorry, that was Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson, not.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was Johnny Carson.
But at that time, but Carson was like 10 years in the past at the time that this came out.
Exactly. And the point that I'm trying to get to here is that, comedy's really bad about holding on to these things that are no longer relevant. And,
part of that is that you have to look at, especially then, the script was probably written 5 years before that movie was made.
Oh, absolutely, I'm sure. But that's still 5 years too late.
Yes,
for relevance.
But, versus, today where, like, you can write a script today and have the damn thing filmed by next weekend.
Yes.
And in theaters the weekend after that.
So that's even less excuse for these weird little pockets of non-relevance to be held on to.
I'm agreeing, but you have twofold on that. You end up with something that's so niche about pop culture that look at like a lot of the parody movies, like
Scary Movie.
Like Scary Movie, like
that had a dick in it.
Yeah, it did. Those movies, like at least they're referencing like some classic horrors, but like so many of the parody movies that are out, it's like if you weren't aware of the goings on of like say 2016. Then you're just not going to get a single joke in the fucking film.
Yeah. And I think the point that I'm trying to make is that these movies like the CIA one and these kind of buddy comedies, the things that we're seeing kind of disappearing and being replaced by more accurately by things like Bridesmaids and The Hangover. And stuff like that, where you have these weird, like, ensemble cast comedies. Mm-hmm. Basically, the only kind of comedies that do well in the box office anymore don't really have a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Where these old ones had an ass ton of heart.
That's a good point.
I'm wondering if maybe, that's what I was thinking about when I was watching Tommy Boy. I was not just seeing a movie about the death of the American manufacturing. I was seeing a style of comedy that was on its way out.
Yeah.
Even when this movie was was a big deal.
Because this movie makes you feel good at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, it actually really does.
It does.
Yeah. And, like, comedies now do not make you feel good at the end of them.
Well, it's like Bridesmaids is a good example. I love Bridesmaids, and I think it's hilarious, but it is a very cynical movie.
Yep.
And one of the best examples of that is the romance in Bridesmaids, which was
between her and John Hamm?
No. What's his name? He's the guy from the IT crowd, the cop. The romance you're supposed to feel good about. But and I gave the movie kudos because they played it realistically, because she burns him real bad. I think Boyd is his last name. I don't know, but she burns him real bad, and he's not like okay with it. And I think that they reconcile in the end, but he's basically like, okay, we're starting from zero now. In the 90s, they would get together unequivocally at the end and happily ever after, but like
for no reason,
right?
No plausible reason.
Right? You just know that
just
somehow,
because they both showed up at the same place, it must be magic.
Because she's the only female in the movie.
Because in the
that's why.
In the Clinton years, everything was going to work out fine.
Yeah.
Although Bridesmaids might have been Obama era, it was, wasn't it?
It was, but it had a pretty cynical tone.
It did. It's interesting how those things have shifted, where it's okay to make a comedy where everything doesn't necessarily work out perfectly in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Bridesmaids is hilarious, mainly because you have very strong performances by the comedians in the movie.
Yeah, because Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy are fucking funny, and Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, because those people are fucking great. They're good actors. They're good comedians. But the cynicism is like ripe. It's like it's smelly cynicism, you know.
Yeah.
So
and I'm
that
sure
movie
that's going
spoke
to
to
be
me when it came out.
For sure.
That movie hit me hard.
Me too.
It really did.
Me too. It nails a lot of like the modern face of romance and what it's like when you're like in your 30s and you don't have your shit together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it's
it more importantly in getting back to my point, it set the tone for all comedies to come in, in the upcoming era of comedy, and that's why we have things like Mastermind and Sausage Party and stuff like that. Like that's why we have these movies. Because, there was a shift in the way that comedy happens that we hadn't seen, because keep in mind, there is not that far cry of a difference between something like Caddyshack or even The Jerk and Tommy Boy.
No, yeah.
And that's like a 30-year difference there between those films. And it really kind of was after Tommy Boy where comedy movies weren't really making any money. And then they started to again, with Bridesmaids.
Well, think about like Pineapple Express. Like that's not happy at the end at all. Like
no.
Yeah.
Guys, I think you need to go to the hospital.
A lot of those Judd Apatow movies, that kind of started happening around those times. Those were, and now I'm not making a comment on whether or not those movies are good or not, or whether or not this is a bad shift. But I do think that it is interesting to watch when you're watching Tommy Boy to think about that this is a style of comedy that we are probably not going to see come back for another 30 years.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because frankly, the style of comedy that's out right now is just, it goes for the shock and wow factor, and it just seems like
it's a gut laugh versus a warm laugh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It's going for you to like go ha. And not actually genuinely laugh. It's supposed to be it's funny because it's so juxtaposed and not because it was a well thought fucking joke.
Yeah.
Comedy nowadays, I'm not saying all comedy, but so much of the comedy that they put out right now is very lazy.
Well, what they do is they come up with something that works one time, and then
that's just true.
They churn it out as many times as possible thereafter. Like when something about There's Something About Mary came out. This was the Ben Stiller. A bunch of bad stuff happens to a guy with a lot of heart, and you have to watch him kind of suffer while he's trying to get his happiness,
and then meet the parents.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it was like every movie was just about a whole bunch of bad shit happening to a hapless
Meet the
dude.
Parents is unbearable for me to watch.
I was not happy with those either.
I laughed a lot at Something About Mary because that was the first time I'd seen that, and the stuff that was happening was very ridiculous. Also, there's a lot of other really good, funny shit in there, like Matt Dillon's teeth. Like the guy gets a really obvious massive dental overhaul because of this girl, and he's so cheesy about it. So, but they grabbed onto that one thing, the hapless dude gets abused for 2 hours, and the next 5 years of comedy was like that.
I feel like that's all of Ben Stiller's stuff.
It mostly is.
Dude gets abused for 2 hours.
Mostly.
But he does it well. He's very good.
If they write him good
in
material.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, that was good. That was funny.
Yeah.
But that also had some genuinely well thought out.
Yeah, that movie
humor
was
in it.
fucking good.
And a lot of that, it was genuinely well thought out humor because they built up good characters to deliver, good characters for a delivery system there.
Pump your brakes, son. That man's a national treasure.
It's also it's an ensemble comedy as well.
Yes.
It's not just Ben Stiller taking abuse.
But
it's really good.
Yeah.
That one is.
Yes, Tropic Thunder
very
is really
well
good.
put together.
It's one of the greatest actors of our generation, Robert Downey Jr. in blackface.
Jesus.
I mean,
it's the only movie where
it's one of the greatest actors of all time, Tom Cruise in
Yeah,
another kind of face.
In Fat Fingers. I mean, he had prosthetic hands that were like giant hams. You
That
know,
was
brilliant.
funny
Oh.
as shit.
I mean, that's one of the great things about Tropic Thunder is you take these actors and they're all making fun of themselves
Yeah.
big time. You know, like big time. In fact, Ben Stiller is maybe not the only one that's not actually specifically making fun of himself. You know, he's maybe making fun of Stallone.
Yeah.
You know, but like, holy shit. I mean, just the fact that this group of actors can take themselves so not seriously is one of the things that makes that movie so fucking funny.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, man.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty much done reviewing every other movie except for the one on the title. And,
It was good.
We're going to take a break, and right after the break, we will be back with your favorite part and mine. We'll be back with the game.
It's my second favorite.
What's your first favorite?
My review.
Chris's review. Friendship.
Tianxia, Blood, Silk, and Jade from Vigilance Press. The larger-than-life wuxia kung fu fantasy romantic action RPG powered by the Fate Core role-playing system. Play as beggars, pirates, soldiers, even royalty on your path to martial mastery. Zhenghu heroes whose unique skills can change the fates of many. Featuring gorgeous color artwork by Dennis S. Jones.
Oh, sorry, Denise.
Featuring gorgeous color artwork by Denise S. Jones and a unique kung fu system created by veteran game designer Jack Norris. Tianxia, Blood, Silk, and Jade is available from Indie Press Revolution in hardcover and PDF formats. The PDF is also available from DriveThruRPG and RPG Now. For more information, check out vigilancepress.com/Tianxia. That's TIANXIA.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is now time for your favorite part and mine. It is time for the game.
Oh,
And as is John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie gets to run the game, and that is Colin McMillan. Colin, what are we playing?
It's trivia game tonight.
Woo.
It is a themed game.
All right, I'm out.
So it's a trivial game to say.
It's trivial. It's trivial. Completely unimportant. No, it's you just wait until you hear how unimportant it is. I've had this game in mind for a long time. So the best I can do for a connection to Tommy Boy is that Tommy Boy is a movie about friendship and we're friends.
Oh. All right.
John hates friends.
Oh, that's a one-man podcast that nobody wants to listen to.
I know, the numbers are terrible.
So, this trivia game is a little bit of a tribute to a tradition here on John Hates Movies. I won't get too further into it because I think everybody will catch on pretty quick. I have a starter round of questions that are pretty easy that will give you a feel for what you should expect from today's themed trivia game.
Okay.
All right.
Each answer is worth 1 point. That's it. And for now, I'm going to direct each question to each individual person. So the first question...
Any steals, or...?
That comes later.
Okay.
First question is for Eric.
Oh, woohoo.
A time hopper with a companion, blue police box.
Uh-huh.
Doctor
Who?
Correct. That's Doctor Who. All right. Doctor Who. Question number two.
I'm feeling the
for
theme.
Chris.
I'm feeling this theme.
The band responsible for the tunes Baba O'Reilly and We Don't Get Fooled Again.
Who could it be? Who
Indeed.
the fuck are you? The Who.
Correct. Question number 3. For John. Invention featured in The Hudsucker Proxy. You know, for kids.
The hula hoop.
The hula hoop. Correct. So all the answers for today's trivia game will have something in common, and I have entitled this game Square Burgers. So the next question is for Eric.
I think I know how this game gets won.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Let's just keep going. Next question is for Eric. Mascot for the Detroit Pistons.
Hooper.
Hooper the horse. That is correct.
Yeah.
Chris, when something is funny or entertaining, we might say it is a...
It's a hoot.
It is a hoot. All right, that is correct. They're not designed to be hard. It's just designed to be entertaining. John.
When's it get entertaining?
Oh, later. John,
when somebody gets a Dave Thomas burnout.
John, a term used for bustling commotion or sensational hype.
Oh.
5
Okay,
seconds.
I'm going to go hoot nanny.
Oh, man.
I believe he was looking for a hoop.
I don't know.
A hoopla.
Oh.
Well, that's stupid.
Hootenanny was a good guess, but
I think you
one
should
answer,
give
1
him-
point.
Well,
so.
okay.
Fair enough.
And
All
I
right,
don't want John to win, so.
Next one. Correct, yeah. Nobody wants that.
No, we don't.
Last time we picked It Follows. Come on.
It's time for that.
Eric.
Yes.
Eric, the perpetrators in the 1994 Rwandan genocide.
Oh, the Hutus.
Correct.
Whoa.
Eric is in the lead. All
That
right,
seemed harder than.
Well, I
Next
like
up.
so John's like the Hudsucker one I wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, I wouldn't
but
have.
the
Yeah,
Detroit
some-
Pistons mascot, none of you guys would have
Right.
gotten.
Well, some of these are picked specifically
Right.
for specific Potters. That
Yeah.
was the Hoop of the Horse one is definitely an Eric special,
Yeah.
and Hudsucker Proxy was definitely meant for John. Next up, Chris.
Yeah.
A chain of restaurants known for their wings and beer.
I believe the answer you're looking for is Hooters.
Correct.
It's not
All right.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
No, it's not. John, a mid-'80s sitcom featuring a family and their unusual housekeeper.
Who's the boss?
Ah, correct.
I had to say it fast.
It's not
'cause I
Mr.
didn't wanna-
Belvedere.
It's not this time. All right, from here we are going to allow steals.
Ooh,
so
boy.
we're going to direct it at a specific person. As usual, your buzzer is your name. Let's give them 5 seconds, and then you can buzz in with your answer if they don't get it. But everybody's doing pretty good
Sure.
so far. Eric.
Yes.
When people collude together, you might say they are
In cahoots.
correct. Eric maintains his lead. Chris, the 7th most populous province in China.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, Chris, this was originally an Eric
Is
question.
this the Hunan province?
It is!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Nice. Chris tying it up.
Because I love
all
Hunan
right.
chicken.
Good, very good. John, it's funny. I did that. I was like, Hunan, and then I was like, wait, is that a real thing or did I make that up? Am I racist? Is this terrible? Yeah. John, not as bad as vaping, but still a very douchey way to enjoy tobacco.
Hookah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no steals so far. You know what? Let's up the ante. Let's move along to the lightning round.
Oh boy.
From here, all questions will be directed at everybody. Your buzzer is your name.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right, next question. When he died, the Children's Television Workshop took the opportunity to devote an episode
John.
to learning about death. John.
Hooper.
Yes, Mr. Hooper.
Oh.
Correct. On Sesame Street.
Now
And
back in the game.
He's back in the game, people. Alrighty. Next, magical practices that emerged in the southern U.S.
Eric.
John.
Eric.
Hoodoo.
Correct. Very good. Song by Metallica. Oh, I'm very sorry. The answer I was looking for was For Whom the Bell Tolls.
I was going to say that,
Oh.
but I think
All right.
they just
Next question. Possibly an honorary member of the Special Christmas Unit, she performed her first interrogation when she was no more than 2.
John.
Eric.
John.
Oh.
Cindy Who.
Cindy
Eric.
Lou Who is correct.
Oh, Cindy Lou Who.
We're going to
But
give it
yeah.
to him. Cindy Lou Who is
Yep.
correct. A murder mystery where everyone is a suspect
Eric.
is a Eric.
Who done it?
Yes, a stone cold who done it. The Simpsons paid a tribute to this classic cliffhanger from Dallas.
John.
John.
Who shot JR?
Correct.
Yep.
Very good. 2001 Coen Brothers Oscar-winning film.
Ooh.
Say that again?
2001 Coen Brothers Oscar-winning film. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The answer is The Man Who Wasn't There.
Oh.
Huh.
Next question. The answer to this question is The Shadow Knows.
John.
John.
Who knows what lurks in the hearts of men?
I'm sorry, that's not correct.
Oh, shit.
Who, Chris, who
Chris.
knows what lurks in the heart of evil?
Oh, so close. Eric, you got anything?
Eric, who lurks in who lurks in the kitchen at Wendy's?
John, you were so close. It's who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
At least I knew there
Spanish
was
singers.
evil in there.
Correct. Yes, you were all very close except for Eric.
Yeah, sorry.
Spanish singer-songwriter who has been awarded the Guinness record thrice.
Eric, Gloria Estefan.
No!
Oh, come on!
What? I'm sorry, the answer is Julio Iglesias.
Oh!
Iglesias, I'm like, what is this? And somehow who didn't?
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, we have a tie between Eric and John. This is my last question.
Oh, boy.
Otherwise, I have to arbitrate. So, this might be a hard one.
Okay.
February 20th, a day to chase away the winter blahs. No? Very sorry. The answer is Hootie Hoo Day.
That's
Oh, wow.
Where you're supposed to go outside, put your arms over your head, wave them around, and shout Hootie Hoo as loud as you can.
Wow.
well, fucky fuck.
Well, now
I've never
now I
heard
got
of
a
that.
problem. I had never heard of it either before. Not until Square Burgers. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got a tie between Eric and John, and I am out of
John!
Hootie
and the Blowfish.
John is the winner. You know, that's funny. I really wanted to do a Hootie and the Blowfish question, and I couldn't think of something to ask about Hootie and the Blowfish. So I was like, fuck it, who cares? All right, good enough for me. John is the winner this week.
Oh,
Wow.
my sweet Jesus. So this is going to be... I did not pick out a movie because I did not anticipate that this was going to be a thing. So bear with me for a second here.
What's a Hootie and the Blowfish song?
I only want to be with you.
Yeah.
Don't call me daughter.
No, that's
I only wanna
fucking
be with
Pearl Jam. Who only wants to be with you?
There was
I want to be with you.
You know who did a good cover of that song?
Who?
Dave Thomas, Fine and Wendy's.
Got him!
Are you kidding me?
I'm so used to seeing it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Got him!
Wait, did I just win my own game?
Yes, you did. For our pick next week, we are going to
well done,
revisit.
Colin. You got him.
Thank you very much. I didn't think I was possibly going to be able to get anybody.
You got him.
I got him.
All right.
I got him in the stupidest possible way.
Yes. So our for next week, we are going to revisit the end of a movie franchise that we all love the beginning to. We are going to watch Creed.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
I am.
and that's a
I am
sports
happy
movie.
to rewatch this.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I love sports
Yes, it
movies,
is.
though. Oh, man. Awesome.
My own prison.
I created
My mind's not over.
my own prison.
I don't know any Creed songs, unfortunately.
Well, you're a better man for it.
With
All right.
arms wide open.
Oh, I guess I do know one. Yeah.
Under the light.
Counting blue
Welcome
cards.
to this place. Show you everything.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.
I liked Creed.
A great big thank you to our staff graphic artist, Tabby Walters, the Weekly Cast, and our listeners. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, the Stitcher app, through YouTube, or directly on our website. Feel free to send us a movie review suggestion. Every third episode is Listener Appreciation, where we choose from your suggestions. You can reach us through social media, either by liking our Facebook page, John Hates Movies YouTube channel, or following our Twitter at John Hates Movies. Our music was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can find this track Black and many more on his website, incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to hear someone say,
"Where are we tonight?" I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I was drunker last week, and I'm like one glass of wine in, and I'm just losing it. It's the allergies, folks.